Guys, CBS here, and as of yesterday, they released the mid-season Mage update, and for a quick little video here, we're just gonna go over all the updates here, go over all the abilities, and then just general opinion on how each champion looks, etc. So we start out with Malzahar. Malzahar enters Void Shift when he hasn't taken direct damage over a period of time. During Void Shift, Malzahar takes massively reduced damage and is immune to crowd control effects, remaining in Void Shift for a small period of time after taking damage. So what that means to me is Malzahar that's something that's going to benefit his ultimate, because that's like his weakest point is when you ultimate, you're gonna get CC'd and you're gonna die. But now you can't get CC'd, as you can see here, and just makes for some better play. Q is basically the same thing. W, instead of it being the AoE percent health damage ability, you spawn in Voidlings. I like this better. It's probably better for AD Malzahar as well, because you get to control your Voidlings. It also summons a second one when where is it? The first time a Voidling attacks a champion, large monster, epic monster, or assists in killing a unit, Malzahar spawns a new Voidling. So that's pretty cool. Same thing as the thing known as Space Aids, the ability known as Space Aids, and Ultimate is the same. So for the most part, I think it's a nice update. It's pretty much a very similar kit, except they took out the AoE percent health damage and made him able to control his Voidlings better, and they made his passive benefit him being pretty immobile. So next we got Brand here. Brand spell, light his target ablaze, basically same thing. Blaze, you stun them, it does AoE effect health. Q seems to be the same, sets them ablaze, etc, etc. W seems to be the same. Units that are blazed take additional damage. That's pretty good. Same thing for the most part. And ultimate is the same for the most part. Private champions briefly slows. That's pretty cool. It's really interesting, actually. I like it. It's a nice change. Vladimir, same passive. HP gives him ability power, and AP gives him HP. Vladimir drains. It's the same Q, basically. If this will play. See if okay. Same thing. Nothing new, nothing out of the ordinary. Sanguine Pull. Same thing, nothing new, nothing out of the ordinary. So Tides of Blood's a pretty interesting change. You charge it up now, it's like nice big AoE. Seems to be a unique change, makes the ability more unique, not simple. Like, it gives it some complexity to it. I like it. Hemoplague, same thing. We'll go to Zyra. Her passive just passively spawns seeds. Was max a long period of time. Was max number of seeds planet. If an enemy champion steps on it, seed dies. If Zyra casts, blah blah blah. So same thing as her W basically, except they spawn passively. Her Q is pretty similar to what it was before, except it's like in a straight line instead of a circle. W, same thing, plant seeds. E, similar ability, basically the same exact thing. Ultimate, similar ability, basically the same exact thing. Boka's very, very similar to what he is now. stack on enemies. Third hit does true damage. Scales with AP and levels. The Q looks the same, except it looks a lot faster. W sounds the same, looks the same. E, probably the same thing from the description. It's a little slower particles, but seems about the same. And ultimate is the same. Deals true damage to research champions, but no longer destructs them. Interesting wording, to say the least. Cassiopeia, the biggest thing here is her passive, which kind of frustrating because her passive was like the best thing about her, like the stacking feature. Now she just gets movement speed per level. This does not stack with boots, so you're probably going to be looking at Cassiopeia's going full 6 offensive items. Her Q, the same. Her W, similar but different. It's very similar, except it just spews a nice big line about the size of the lane. Her E looks to be the same, and her ultimate looks to be the same. Now coming in on the smaller ones here, Annie Tibbers now viciously mauls stun targets, which from the description you can't really tell what it's going to be, but something I read is that when Annie dies, Tibbers doesn't die, so that's kind of interesting there. Sway and Deceptify, which, let me look that up, just to double check. We'll just type in Swain. I believe it's his E, but I'm not 100% sure here on this. It's his Q, okay. Torment, okay. So his Q sends Beatrice to target locations, triple enemies, so that means it's going to slow, stun, something of the sorts. Fiddle's new passive, Stand Still, he gets movement speed bonus. It's pretty cool. I don't know if that's going to help him. It might for ganking, but might not be. Not 100% sure, like, he might be, people might try and play him in lane, but people will probably still play him in jungle. The Ziggs changed pretty big. I've seen people theory crafting with, like, support Ziggs to try and get fast pushes and different things like that. It's going to be interesting. I think Ziggs is in, like, a decent spot right now, so it's, like, not the end of the world either way, but it's going to be definitely interesting with fast pushing. So in competitive play, it's going to be most notable. Syndra, just passive to spawn more balls and things like that. So it's just like a quality of life change for Syndra. The Xerath, this one's pretty interesting too, where if you hit your ult, you get an extra barrage up to a maximum number, which is pretty cool. So like say you get 10 to, or like 7 to 10 barrages, you could get a lot of damage out there. Really interesting. So it's going to be really skill shot dependent, but that means scripters are also going to be back to it with the Xerath. The Nivea, I like this change to Glacial Storm, which is our ultimate, now expands over time and deals bonus damage at the maximum size. Gonna feel pretty good. Nivea is also in a pretty good spot right now, so it's just buffing her. And then Vigar's passive, basically the same thing, except when you hit enemy champions now, kill minions and kill champions, you get AP. So it just gonna make him a like stack mage. Like he's gonna be like AP Nasus, pretty much. He's like the AP version of Nasus in that sense. So it's just a lot easier to stack now. So the AP items here, we got Tear of the Goddess. It's got mana, refunds portion, mana charge grants. No longer has mana regenerations, which isn't that big of a deal in my opinion. Change the name of Catalyst. Health mana, a portion of your damage is gained as mana. Spending mana restores the portion. spent as health up to a cap. That's interesting, so it's like he's portion of damage is gained as mana. Spending mana restores a portion. So spending mana gives you HP. It's like a potion going off 24/7. It's going to be used on like bruisers a lot. Like I can see a lot of top laners literally just picking this up and sitting on it. Chalice of Harmony grants a large portion of health regeneration if your health percent lower than your mana percent. Grants a large portion of mana regen if your mana. That's pretty cool. So it's just like an overall regeneration item instead of just mana. Again, I'm expecting a lot of top laners to pick up something like this and just sit on it. Hextech Revolver, damaging an enemy with a basic attack, shocks them for bonus magic damage. No longer a spell vamp because spell vamp's being taken out of the game. Lost Chapter. Upon leveling, restore a portion of holder's maximum mana. So it's basically like old Catalyst effect. Ability power CDR. Seems the same to me. Hextech devices. You got the Gunblade. Same build pass. Instantly heal for a portion of all damage dealt, including physical magic and true damage. Interesting. I don't see like any no champions are jumping at me who's gonna want to use this. Like probably still a Kali. It's the only thing that really jumps at me. Deals instant magic gem and says targets the same active, new passive, pretty unique. Hextech Revolver, Catalyst, and Gold, so that's already like really efficient. I think just the Catalyst. The Revolver gives you some nice damage. A portion of your damage is gained as mana, spending milk, so same thing. Fire the spray, Ice Bolt, stealing magic damage, and so this is interesting. It's like Frost Queen's Claim, sort of, kind of, just like in an area. It's not the ghosties, but it's interesting. Proto Belt 01. If you want to make an explosive. Kindle Gem. So this is like a off-tank AP item. Dash forward and unleash a ring of firebolt that deals magic damage. So these items are active damage items, fire and ice. It's gonna be interesting. Like I don't see, for the most part, I don't see any mid laners picking up things like this. Most likely, probably gonna be top laners. Is what I'm thinking. Then we got Archangels. Seems the same. Gain ability power equal to small percentage. Grants additional maximum mana, and passive refunds a small portion of your mana cost. So that's pretty much the same instead of having mana regen, and now it just has a passive mana regen. Just a new build path with Lost Chapter, Phoenix Codex, Magic Champ. So you have to get them lower to give them Grievous Wounds now instead of just applying all the time. Interesting. Still gonna be as useful as always. Blood Chargers. Gain a portion of damage dealt to champions of Blood Chargers healing or shielding another ally consumes Blood Chargers to heal them. So they want Athenes to be a support item, I'm guessing, from the sound of it, sort of, kind of. Not 100% sure on it. I'd have to see it in game more. But from just the sound of it, it would be used on like supports for the most part. And then Rod of Ages, Catalyst, Needlessly Large Rod, so that's pretty big. It gives a lot more AP. And then Will of the Ancients removed. A lot of like AP bruisers are going to become popular. I'm fairly certain. With the amount of AP it gives and that. Then you got Abyssal Scepter, Phoenix. Next, so this gives CDR now. That's really good. Abyssal Scepter, like Rod of Ages, Abyssal Scepter, might be built on every single champion during this. Zonias give CDR as well. Interesting. It doesn't give that much, as much flat AP. Interesting. So, like, these are the 3 core items for the Bruiser AP champions, like, you know, Diana. Let's see, we'll look here. Lysandra could go that build path. You got Kali could go that build, even though she doesn't need the mana. Cassiopeia could go build like that. Elise, Fiddlesticks, Fizz, Gragas, Karma, Karthus, Kassadin, Katarina. All these champions are sort of benefiting from these changes. Katarina is benefiting from these two, especially because she likes CDR, but she doesn't really have any good items to build. But yeah, this is like a pretty big buff to Katarina, I see. LeBlanc, she's gonna get more CDR, more utility. Basically, any AP champion is gonna benefit from these changes. And for the next change, the biggest thing is the Elemental Dragon. You got Fire Dragon, which increases champion killing power, augments your dueling and teamfight abilities. You got Earth Dragon, increases turret and epic monster damage. You got Water Dragon, increases health and mana regen. And you got Air Dragon, out of combat movement speed. So, for the most part, the RNG of it, I don't mind it, but I'm not like a huge fan of it. So I think it's something to adapt to for the most part. I don't think it's, for the most part, any of these buffs are just going to be like, okay, a team instantly wins the game now. I'm pretty confident that it should be balanced to a point where it's not going to be like that. So that's just like my opinion on the RNG aspect of it. For the buffs, you know, I think Air Dragon's gonna be really good, really useful. Earth Dragon, Fire Dragon, and then Water Dragon's like kind of, people like, you hear it and it's like, oh, that sounds really good, but then for the most part it's like, oh, it's not really needed. But yeah, I think Air Dragon, Earth Dragon, Fire Dragon are gonna be the three prioritized one, and then you got yourself the Elder Dragon, pretty nice and big. And after 35 minutes in the game, all future dragon spawns become the Elder Dragon. The Elder Dragon is far more difficult to kill. Take him out grants a powerful burn over time, so basically it's Fifth Dragon. And that's about it for this. If you guys liked this type of video, yeah, go ahead, leave a like, a comment, subscribe, check out the blog, follow me on Twitter. And I'll definitely do more things like this, more things like patch note reviews and things like that. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.